Okay, let's talk about The White Lotus, Season 3, Episode 6. This is the latest episode in which we will see a lot of fallout after the moon festivities that happened, because there's a ton of things that happened. So, of course, one of the big things that we are going to pretty much get into is what is going to happen between the friends, Laurie and Jacqueline. As we know, we saw at the end of the last episode that they were kind of having some fun with Valentine and his friends and all of that, and the night was going pretty good. Everybody was having a good time, but then later in the night we saw that Jacqueline was not going to really let Laurie have Valentine, as she was trying to say throughout the whole time, right? As we see her and Valentine hook up at her room, and we pretty much are going to see probably Laurie find out about this, and I think it's going to lead into some very interesting dynamics between the friends. We're kind of already like frenemies of sorts, so that's going to be an interesting aspect of it right there. We also have the thing with Lochlan and Saxon and the girls, Chloe, and what's been going on with them, because Chloe has been sort of hinting at wanting to hook up with the two of them and not really caring about what is going on, right? She's pretty much like, hey, I'm having fun. I got this old guy over here with Greg, and I'm trying to be more with the younger guys. And it's kind of creepy as well how Chloe's been acting with them as well. So I think that that's going to be an interesting thing right there. What is Saxon going to do? How does Saxon react to everything that happened with him and Lochlan the night prior? Because we did see the two brothers share a kiss, which was just like, whoa, where are we headed with this right now? Now, one thing we also have to note is that Belinda and Porntar are starting to really develop their relationship to the next level, which I thought was interesting to see, because I think one of the main things that we were always wondering was, are they not? And they are. And now we have Belinda's son as well coming into the picture, and we are getting closer to seeing who in fact is the body that we saw at the first episode, because as we know, Belinda's son was the one who was there when the shots were fired. So him coming now to the White Lotus means things are about to really start to cook up pretty quick right here. Now, we are still seeing that Rick is continuing his search for the man that killed his father, who he believes is the one who is Shrutala's husband. So that's why he's in Bangkok, and that's why he met up with his friend. Now, one of the things we saw at the last episode with Rick and his friend is that they were having a conversation, and it got pretty crazy and pretty interesting as well, with sort of role play involved with the friend. But now Rick says that he needs the friend to do some role play for him, and Sam Rockwell is playing this role so well. Honestly, I was so impressed the way he just kept going, and Rick's facial expressions are the meme I didn't know I needed from the White Lotus this season. But I do believe that Rick might be using him as a sort of like decoy, sort of trying to distract and be the producer friend maybe of sorts, and that's what he means by roleplay. I don't think we really do think Rick is trying to say to roleplay the role that Sam Rockwell has been playing for his character for some time now, as he said. So I think that's what we're going to see in this next episode, is them trying to get more into this man's like inner circle so Rick can finally confront him. I think Guy Talk and Mook as well have been very much so in the background of sorts, but we have seen in the trailer for what's ahead this season that they will end up going on a date. So I'm curious about this as well, because there's some theories that have been going around that Mook has been sort of using Guy Talk and sort of stringing him along in order for maybe she is in on this whole like robberies that have been occurring in the White Lotus. Maybe there's something more foot happening, and she kind of feels like maybe stringing him along, she can kind of distract him. So I think that's something that's going to be interesting to see, as well as how Timothy is going to handle things now. As we saw in the last couple of episodes, he was pretty much in a very low place. Like, he was just rock bottom, right? Like, he heard that Kenny's testifying, he heard that he's cooperating and all of this, and that leads Timothy out to just pretty much swim on his own and try to figure out what he's going to do. He doesn't want to go to prison. He doesn't want to be incriminated for all of this, but he doesn't really have a plan right now, as he's out here in Thailand trying to figure it out, right? And we saw in the last episode that he was going to take his own life. It was getting pretty grim and dark. And then we saw, of course, his wife came, talked him down and all of this. She doesn't know what's going on, though. And I think Parker Posey's playing this character so well, because it is just a, like, interesting scenario we have here, because I think deep down she knows something's wrong, but she's the type of character that doesn't want to believe something's wrong. Like, she wants to hold on to this like perfect family that she has in her mind and just continue going on with it. I think that's the reason that she's so harsh on Piper, with Piper wanting to stay in Thailand to really get into Buddhism and all of this, is because she just wants a rock solid like family. Like, this is her typical American family and she doesn't want to lose it. And I think that's all she really has going for herself. And I think that's why it's so hard on her to believe that Timothy could be so down on himself, because he's supposed to be the head of the family, the macho and all of this. And I think it's going to be a very interesting last episodes where we see that this is really going to all break down, because it is. We see in the next episode that Timothy pulls the gun out on someone, and I'm curious who that may be. As we know, Guide Talk already knows that Timothy has his gun, and I'm curious if we're going to see that whole confrontation really take shape, especially with the next couple of episodes where I believe Guide Talk might go on that date with Mook, and maybe Mook might push him to sort of be more upfront with himself. And I'm hoping deep down that Guide Talk and Mook have a happy ending, but The White Lotus, you just never know. It definitely is a show that you should subvert expectations and let it take you on a ride, because that's exactly what it does. It takes you on this ride you didn't even know you were going to take. So here are my theories about what's coming next with every situation here. So I think Jacqueline and Lori, let's start off with that. I think we're going to see a bigger rivalry sort of start to brew between both of them. It's been sort of teased here and there, but I do think that Valentine is sort of using them as well. I think Valentine does have something to do with the string of robberies. We saw it at the beginning of the first episodes, where he was pretty much used as bait and sort of like to distract Guide Talk. And I think that Valentine is trying to do the same maybe to the friends. He knows they come from money, all that. So if he pays some attention to them, he's able to get his friends in there to really start to string up some money, even as far as I would say maybe blackmailing Jacqueline, especially because he left the bedroom open, as many of us have seen. So I think that Valentine's up to no good, and I think that the friends are going to be pitted against each other, and Valentine's going to use this against them in order to distract them even more. Now, when it comes to Timothy and his family, I think that Timothy's family has a lot of problems going. I think Piper is going to really find out quickly that she does come from some sort of, like, you could say, privilege. And I think that when she goes to the monastery, meets the monk and everybody else, I think she's going to come out feeling like, oh, I don't belong here maybe, and things like that. So I think that's going to be something there. But I do think Piper's heart is in the right place, but I just don't think she truly grasps her sort of privilege just yet. And I think she's quickly gonna find out about that. With the siblings Lochlan and Saxon, I think that we are going to see a very weird dynamic start to play out. I think the night's gonna go okay for them, and then later on they're gonna think like, oh, what the hell did we just do, right? And I think it's gonna affect Saxon a lot more, especially because he presents himself as this alpha male and like the leader and all of that, and I think that's really gonna mess with his head even more, in particular with his father Timothy, who is very absent right now. I think he's gonna really have an ego death of sorts coming towards him. But Timothy, I am curious to see who he's pointing a gun at in the trailer. I think Timothy is slowly unraveling, spiraling, losing it, and he's sort of turning to religion and maybe towards God. But I think that it is a bit too late for Timothy at this point. I think he's let it get too out of control, and I think we're going to see him really start to fall down this very, very dark place. Now, with Gary and Greg, whatever you want to call him, and Belinda's situation, I don't trust Fabian. Fabian is very adamant about not getting police involved in all of this. He talks about Gary's money. He talks about not really wanting Gary to get in trouble by Belinda. And I think Fabian might end up working for Greg and Gary in the setup towards Belinda to really get her out of the picture. Because I think Greg knows Belinda, of course, and he's just playing coy. And he doesn't want anything to be exposed about what happened to Tanya. So I think Greg is going to really hold it pretty close and try to keep an eye on Belinda. And we'll use Fabian to his advantage for that. So I don't see anything good coming out of Fabian being close to Belinda, y'all. Hopefully Belinda stays safe. But we also have to talk about Rick, who is very close to finding the man he thinks killed his father. Of course, he's using a lot of different lies to get closer to this man. Sam Rockwell, who of course we met in the last episode, is going to be part of this plan, and I believe he'll have him play a sort of producer or maybe a Hollywood star in order to really play this up even more and get a lot closer to the man. Does Rick end up killing this man? I feel like he doesn't. I really truly feel Rick is going to come off clean out of the whole show. But we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think is happening on the next episode and what are your theories for the season as a whole in the comments down below. There's a ton of videos still coming your way, but definitely we'll be talking about the ending tomorrow night, so don't miss it. Follow us here, hit that subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts and theories on what's happening. But as always, that's going to do it for me. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.